Hey everyone, welcome back to Topher Drives, where today in a very untraditional manner we are starting inside the vehicle, but I'm sure you can see why, as it is absolutely pouring rain here in Westlake, California, where I'm out to give you some first driving impressions on the brand new 2026 Jeep Cherokee. This is all new from the ground up and a pretty dang huge departure from the previous generation. My mom used to have one of these. She got one in 2014. It was a Trailhawk. It had a V6. It had a 9-speed automatic. All of that is gone now. This now has a 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, and it's a hybrid. This makes 210 horsepower and 230 pound-feet of torque. It weighs about 4,300 pounds. It's bigger than the old Jeep Cherokee in just about every dimension, because that's what the customers wanted, apparently. Instead of just buying a Grand Cherokee, they wanted their Cherokee to be larger, but most importantly, they wanted this to be more efficient, and they've done that by making it a hybrid and giving it a CVT. This is a two-motor EVT, as they call it, so it behaves similar. It behaves similar to like any other CVT, and we'll show you how that is today. But I think the most notable thing here is that this is now rated at 37 mpg combined. It'll do 35 on the highway, 39 in the city. So today we're in a Laredo. We're about to jump out, brave the rain. We'll show you around this, and then we'll go for a drive and see what this is like on the road. But first, let's start it up. I don't know how I feel about Jeep's new chime, but there you go. I've got my phone paired to this standard 12.3-inch infotainment system. We also have a standard digital gauge cluster. As I mentioned, this is the Laredo, so it's actually only one up from base. And the only things that the Laredo actually gets you that are worth noting are fog lights and heated power front seats. That's kind of it. This one that we're in right now starts at 40 grand, as spec'd $41,000. So we'll wait for the phone to pair. We'll deal with that when we get back in. This has buttons to get out, like so, but if for some reason those break, you got a manual release right there as well. Out into the pouring rain. This is finished in red hot pearl, and for 2026 Jeep has gotten rid of the paid color options for red, white, and blue. So any red, white, or blue color is now a standard option, as is this one. And it's a pretty light spec. Like I said, we only have the panoramic roof on top, but man, this is quite the design. The Jeep design people say that it's supposed to look like the XJ, but I don't know that I really see it. I would say the only way that this looks like an XJ is this line here that goes from the back window and down. But otherwise, I think it looks more like a Wagoneer S, which makes sense because this is on the Stella Large platform, and it shares exact platform with the new Wagoneer S and the new Jeep Recon. And kind of off to the side in the longitudinal Stella Large platform with the new Dodge Charger and the Alfa Romeo Stelvio. So this may actually be somewhat athletic. We're going to take this on some canyon roads today and see how it behaves. My favorite design element of this are the taillights, because they look like jerry cans. Check that out. I don't know if there's going to be any bit of me. Oh man, this doesn't have a power liftgate. I forgot. We're kind of in base model territory here. But this is bigger in the back than the outgoing Cherokee, obviously. Under the trunk floor, somehow, there's no spare. That's surprising. I was expecting that. But you do get lots of extra storage here. And obviously you can fold those seats down and get even more. This is only, I keep looking for a button to shut that. This is only about 5 inches shorter than the Grand Cherokee. So this has gotten quite large. And this is a very traditional hybrid. This is not a plug-in. So just think kind of pretty standard Toyota RAV4 hybrid, Honda CR-V hybrid, all of that stuff is what this competes with. Now the Cherokee on a base level starts at 35 grand plus the $2,000 destination fee, right at about 37,000. So it does start a little bit higher than some of its competitors, but Jeep is kind of priding themselves on this being a little bit of a upper middle class, I guess you could say, compact slash mid-size SUV, because the sizing doesn't directly compete. Jeep kind of always does this. They kind of split the difference between segments, I think maybe to justify their prices and things. Anyway, the back seat is huge. Sat behind myself here at 5'11". I've got plenty of legroom and plenty of headroom, even though we have this panoramic roof up here. Got a fold down armrest with 2 cup holders. I've got an umbrella back here. I maybe should have used that in my walk around, but it's too late now. We've got 2 USB-C ports, and we've got some climate vents. Only 1 seat back pocket, and you know what? I'm happy that we're in a car with cloth seats today because the Laredo is kind of the volume seller. This is kind of what dealerships are going to have on their lots. This is what people are going to be leasing out. And the cloth actually feels pretty decent. We've got these cool designs here. Not as cool as the cloth in the old XJ Cherokee, which, again, this car is kind of a homage to that. I don't know that I super see it. But anyway, move this umbrella here. I want to see what the drivetrain hump is like. So since this is an Jeep, it does come with standard all-wheel drive. So no matter what, the Sport, or they don't call it the Sport anymore, the base model is just called the Cherokee. The base model does come all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, whatever Jeep is calling it. So you do have this drivetrain hump in the middle, but it's fine. I think you could have 3 adults back here. You would be quite all right. Otherwise, there's not a whole lot going on. In the back, the materials are pretty bland with this car with black interior. Lots of scratchy plastic, but we do have some padded armrests here on the door panel with some white stitching. And of course, buttons to get out back here as well. Let's quickly show you this turbocharged 1.6 liter hybrid setup, which has a button to open the hood. I've never seen that before. Okay, how about that? And there it is, idling in quite a loud fashion. That's okay, we can't judge this powertrain yet. I've only put a few miles on this car, so I don't know a whole lot about it. But we'll see how it goes. Obviously, we have the traditional Jeep grille here in the front. What do we have for tires? This is a Nexen. I've never seen a Nexen tire on a brand new car before. But here we go, we got one today. And this is a 225/60 R18, so pretty good sidewall on this. I actually quite like that they offer these smaller wheels, actually on everything except the top Summit trim. So even if you go for a limited, you still get these 18-inch wheels, which is nice for ride quality. Okay, I am soaking wet, so is the car. I'm gonna dry off a second, and then we'll go for a drive. It seems like no matter what, whenever we come to California, it's raining. Except last year, when everything was on fire, it wasn't raining. But we're back to rainy season, which is better for the landscape, of course. But less good for my pants. Look at this right now. Up front, this seems to actually be pretty decent. We've got a better blend of materials up here than we did in the back. Leather on the top of the dashboard, really like to see that on one up from base. We've got a leather-wrapped steering wheel, which looks very similar to the one in the Wagoneer S and the new Charger, because it is not a circle, it's a square. So we'll see how that feels as we drive today. As I said, we have standard wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto on this 12.3-inch infotainment system. And then we have this big cubby down here to put things. You can see I've got my phone there right now, 2 USB-C ports. We've got 4 different drive modes: sand, mud, snow, auto, and sport. We'll probably leave this in auto for most of the day. We might try sport if we can find some canyon sections that are good enough to test out. Spot up here to put your sunglasses. We've got some vents up here. These all seem to be in pretty good locations. I like the little bit of cloth here that they put on the dashboard as well. Climate control panel does exist independent from the screen, but in typical Stellantis fashion, you have more to do with it in the infotainment, but you can probably control everything from here. The only thing I'm not seeing are the heated seats. I see them in the screen, but I don't see any physical buttons for them. So I'm gonna go with that we probably have to go in the screen. Yeah, Emily had a Jeep Compass, and hers was the same way. In fact, we were once driving it to Chicago, and the heated seats got stuck on because the infotainment screen froze. And I'm just realizing that I have to completely eat my words because this steering wheel is so massive, it was blocking my view of the heated seat buttons. Here they are. And here's the heated steering wheel. Oh, wait. This must not have a heated steering wheel, but it still has the button for it still. That is bizarre. Okay, so disregard. The heated seat is right there. And then for the passenger, obviously they have theirs here too. But, okay, so you don't have to go on the screen to do that. It's so funny they've got the blank for the heated steering wheel. Okay, cool. Why don't we get out on the road and show you what this is like to drive. I've got my headlights on right now because when I put them in auto, they turn off, even though it's raining. So we're going to put the lights back into on. This has standard rain-sensing wipers, though I have had to turn them on. I think it's just because when they're off, and then you put this up into 1, and it should automatically adjust the speed, but I suppose we'll see. Wow, that heat gets very hot very quickly. Let's show you our camera situation here. Into reverse on the dial shifter, you see a very high definition reversing camera. with leading lines that swivel with the car. Like to see that. No 360 cam in this. You probably have to go up to the Limited to get that, or maybe it's on a separate package. But this one in very near base model form, which is why I chose it. As you guys know, I do love a good base model. We've got no 360 camera. Move the steering wheel out just a bit. I haven't had a chance to dial in my seating position, but look at this, power seat. Yeah, we're good. Under first impressions, first thing you know, steering wheel is big. As we mentioned, it blocks some of the stuff over here. But the steering itself is very light, like almost pinky light steering, which I never mind on a car. That doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I prefer it. You definitely hear this 1.6 liter, and we're not going to get a super great idea for this today just because it's absolutely downpouring right now. But it seems as though it doesn't really have to rev itself out a whole lot because it's got the 230 pound-feet of torque. Now this, as I mentioned, this weighs 4,300 pounds, so it's quite a lot of mass for this to be moving. Hybrid adds weight, all-wheel drive adds weight, and this is just bigger than the old one. So, but it's definitely not, it's not the buzziest four-cylinder that I've heard, but it's definitely not the quietest. I would say it kind of falls somewhere in the middle. I want to see if I can reset this fuel economy, because I want to see what we end up getting on today's drive. See if this lives up to the hype and gets the 37 mpg that they claim. I would say under first impressions, the most notable things are some of the nice materials we have up front and the ride quality. This is super cushy. Like borderline floaty almost. It's kind of just gliding over these imperfections here in the road. Now we'll get a better idea for this once we are in Michigan and we have one of these back home. Lots of different ways you can view this cluster. I like that one with the 2 gauge pods there. I think I'm going to go back to this. I like that. Well, the wipers do a pretty good job. Wiper motor's not loud, something we don't usually evaluate. And then the rear wiper as well, that's going and doing its thing. No need, I would say, for a camera mirror in this, because I can see perfectly fine out the back, and the rest of the visibility in here is actually very good. This has some of the best visibility I've seen for cars in the 2026 model year. You do sit pretty low down in this car still, so it's kind of hard to do the Jeep thing and rest your elbow on the door panel just because of safety standards and whatever else in 2026. You can't really sit in cars like you used to, but it's okay. We're getting as close as we can. The whole sort of ethos of this car is interesting to think about because, you know, Jeep claimed that they basically founded this segment with the XJ Cherokee, and that car was a lot different than this. It had a straight 6. It was very much focused on off-road. It had a very high seating position, and it had a very distinct design. And now they're using that same nameplate. They mentioned the XJ a lot in the presentation that they just gave us before they sent us out on the road. And this is a hybrid with a CVT, and I don't sit super high, and it's a big car. And this is a big car. And I don't know that they're really emulating that as much as they're leading us to believe. But it wouldn't make sense for them to, because the segment now, think Toyota RAV4, Honda CR-V, Mazda CX-5, you know, people don't really want those off-road focused SUVs anymore. So they're kind of just having to recycle this nameplate and blend into the rest of the segment with this. And yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll have some final thoughts at the end. Right now, actually, I want to talk about this brake pedal because it feels kind of like an old school hybrid brake pedal. When you're actually at speed, you don't notice it as much, but when you're kind of creeping at a light here, say I want to creep up a little bit more, you really have to watch yourself. It's very touchy right at the top. That could have something to do with this being Jeep's first hybrid in North America. Can you believe that? 2026, this is the first hybrid Jeep has ever done that isn't a plug-in. You know, obviously they have the Wrangler and Grand Cherokee 4xEs, but this is the first traditional hybrid that they've ever brought here. W140 S-Class. I was driving my Integra all over here this week. Why is the rear wiper stopped? Did you guys see that? The rear wiper stopped in the middle of the... That was very strange. Okay. Super early production car. It's only got 795 miles on it. I suspect it's a prototype. I haven't confirmed with Jeep, but it probably is. To tell you when you are in regen, I want to put this in sport actually and see. Oh my goodness, sport turns traction control off. How Jeep is that? I remember the Wagoneer S did the same thing. All right, let's give it a boot full. Okay, I mean, that was uphill, so not a great representation. We'll do more of those, don't worry, but this is a lot more sprightly when you're in sport mode. Very, very much eager to rev. I'm going to put this back into auto. This engine kind of keeps to itself when you're in auto. You don't hear it a whole lot. And I would say the actual like tone and pitch of this four-cylinder, it's a little bit deeper than what you would get from some of the other cars in the segment. All right, we are doing much regen right now. We're gonna have to get on the brakes just slightly so we don't crash into the traffic here. We've very quickly diminished the fuel economy, but should gain itself back some going downhill. Overall comfort in this seems to be nice. Like I said, I dig the cloth seat. I don't often get to drive press cars that have cloth seats, so this is fun to see what comes standard. But even beyond that, you know, some of the other touch points in here, places to rest my elbows. You guys know I'm big on comfy elbows. And center console, pretty squishy, that's nice. Door panel, not quite as squishy, but still decent. I wish this had like an eco button I can hit that would increase my regen. It doesn't look like we have that. We have low gear, so that'll give us engine braking here on these. Holy crap. That sounded like it revved itself to about 6,000 RPM. I missed my turn. That's okay. We're going to go right here instead. It'd be cool if maybe we had like an eco drive mode or something. But I think the best part about all this is you have 8 inches of ground clearance. So you can kind of just go through all this stuff. It's really hard to see right now, but the rain sensing wipers are doing their thing. You can kind of just go through all this stuff and the car doesn't really care. You know, I'm not too worried about potholes. The Topher was also here in California this week, and he was driving a Mercedes G63 with the off-road package, and he punctured a sidewall. I'm not too concerned about that today. It should be fine. I am concerned about seeing the road, though. This is incredible. When it rains in California, it really rains. I'm gonna feel these brakes out. Yeah, the brakes are interesting because I don't really hate the way they feel at speed. It's just that last initial bit I'm not the biggest fan of. It reminds me of like an old 2013 Fusion Hybrid. That's like what the brakes feel like at low speed. Now, as far as being a hybrid, this will putz around in EV mode, obviously, if you're gentle with it. But then once the 1.6 liter actually comes to life, you really only notice it audibly, which is kind of the highest compliment you can give to a hybrid vehicle. There's absolutely no joltiness or anything weird when the transition switches from EV to ICE. I haven't noticed a button in here to lock this into EV mode, but we do have all of this stuff that kind of concerns our hybrid system and everything. You can see the power flow. Those controls are not for the hybrid. I was like, ooh, controls, maybe in EV mode. And the rain has let up slightly, so we can judge this a little bit better as far as NVH and overall engine volume level, because initially the rain was so loud I could not hear anything. But this system overall, it's decently quiet. You know, you have that, you kind of just have that 4-cylinder sound in the background, but as we said earlier, that still stands pretty true, that this is, it's on the quiet side. Certainly not the quietest 4-cylinder I've ever heard, but it's not offensively loud. Let's bump this back into sport. We don't have any sort of like paddle shifters or anything. I mean, it's a CVT, so it would all be fake anyway, but the only option you have is that low gear button that we pushed earlier. There is a plow truck up here, probably for the mud and rocks that are coming off the mountains right now. As far as like confidence in conditions like this though, like the tires feel just fine. I haven't had any moments where I feel like I'm losing grip. And kind of just having this nice visibility helps as well for when Mother Nature is not supporting your visibility. Look at this total mudslide coming down the hill here. Wow, wow, wow. You know, this is good though, because this is nurturing big rock in the road there. Look at that monster. This is nurturing all of the vegetation. Is that the right word? It's making it so California's green and not brown. Okay, let's get it off the line here and see what that's like. Zero to 59. That did not feel fast at all. I mean, it's not fast. It's interesting though the way that this takes off, because it uses the torque, it uses the low end, and it uses those two motors in the EVT to kind of distribute that power and that acceleration. It doesn't rev itself to the moon on initial tip-in when you go full throttle. Man, this would be a lovely experience right now if the roads weren't soaking wet. Under initial impressions, interior build quality feels nice, ride quality's great. Most of the inputs are all right. I mean, the steering is super light. I don't have a great idea of what's going on with the front end. The only input I'm not a big fan of are the brakes. Everything else in here seems to be okay. I do kind of wish this armrest adjusted forward a little bit, because if you're somebody that's a little bit shorter, it's going to be hard for you to rest that if you're sitting a little bit closer to the dashboard. Steering kind of stays super light when you're at speed. I mean, it is just ultra, ultra light. Tonight on Topher Drives. Topher drives a red Jeep with a CVT at 35 miles an hour in a rainstorm. Got a number of safety systems standard on this as well, many of which are available via physical buttons on the steering wheel. Quite like to see that. And on Las Virginias, we may actually try some of these out, because I don't know that we're going to hit an actual highway on today's drive. Okay, you've got active driving assist. Now this is a level 2 system. This is not full self-driving. Holy crap, you guys. What do I even call this video? Jeep Cherokee in a rainstorm. Can it even see the lines to drive itself? I guess it can, because it's doing so right now. Got cruise control set. Okay, it's yelling at me to keep my hands on the wheel. Understandable. This is good. You can also set your following distance, which I'm actually going to increase for today. I want to be as far as possible from everybody. Unimog. Ooh, okay, here's what I like. It's got a grip sensor, not a torque sensor. See, grip the wheel, it knows my hands are here. So you could probably trick this and put some clementines or something in the steering wheel, and it would just do all of this for you. All right, we're going to kill the cruise control, and we'll do this ourselves. One thing I meant to mention earlier is we have a dimmer switch in this for, I guess it's just the infotainment, because the gauge cluster isn't changing at all, but we've got physical dimmer switch down by our headlight and fog light buttons, which I think today maybe we'll run these fog lights. Hey, we have them on the Laredo, why not use them? All right, so I think the time has come to talk value with this car. Now, obviously I've driven many RAV4s, a handful of CRVs, many CX-5s, you know, lots of cars in this class, because it is, I mean, no doubt the most competitive class currently on the new car market. And you kind of have to make a statement here if you're going to be successful and sell cars. Their biggest selling point is the fact that powertrain across the board, no matter what trim you get, that's standard. All-wheel drive is standard. This infotainment screen is standard. This cluster is standard. You get the leather steering wheel. I assume you've got to get the leather steering wheel in the Cherokee. If I'm wrong, I'll put it on the screen, but I bet you get this. So kind of from where you're looking, all of the trims are pretty much the same. You know, there's no like crappy polyurethane steering wheel that you have to touch like you get in a Honda or a Toyota. Obviously, there are cheap plastic bits elsewhere, top of the door panels, middle of the console here. Though actually, this console is designed in a decent enough way to where it doesn't really intrude until it's pretty high up. So while I've been kind of relaxing my leg here, it's not even touching the console. So I quite like the way that that's designed. And I'm able to do my temperature controls down here on this little haptic touch panel. From a driving standpoint, I mean, this seems to do everything that everyone that's buying something in this class is going to want it to do. I mean, there's not really any head scratchers here that are kind of making me wonder what they were on about. I mean, yes, it's a bit expensive, but everything's expensive now. $42,000 for this. It's got some decent stuff. Unfortunately, we don't get the premium sound system. I think you can only option that once you get a little bit higher on the Limited and the Summit trims. In this, we just have an unbranded system, which we'll test here in a second to kind of wrap the video out. Value's a bit subjective, but at the same time, I mean, the only things I'd be worried about here are the first integration of this hybrid powertrain and CVT in North America. I mean, Jeep is kind of experimenting with this, and this is, I mean, call it like it is. This is totally an experimental car. They've done lots of testing. They've made it very clear to us that they've put 2.5 million miles testing these and all this stuff. But, you know, you're buying this new, you're buying it with a warranty, so I wouldn't worry too much, but just know other options do exist. This is just a bit unique in the way that it's bigger and it has kind of the all-wheel drive and things standard and top powertrain standard, only powertrain. But you get turbocharged power. Is it fast? No. But you get the ground clearance. It still looks, I mean, I don't know. I don't think the exterior is really anything extravagant. I think it kind of delivers the message that this is a Jeep. I think they could have gone a little bit boxier, but I mean, look at the Jeep Recon. I think that's kind of the homage and the boxy heritage Jeep car, which is an EV, so it's a little bit confusing. But they kind of had to play it safe with this, and I think they have done. And because of that, it's fine. So with that, let's do a sound system test and see what this, I thought it said 6 speaker, at least on the base model. I don't know that the Laredo gets more speakers, but I'm seeing 3 on the dashboard, and there's 2 in the doors here, and then there's 2 in the rear doors, so that would make 7. I'll have to ask one of the engineers when we make our stop coming up here. But let's put a song on. Volume knob is hidden behind the steering wheel, but it is right here. And then since this is a Stellantis product, you can also adjust volume on the back of the wheel on the right-hand side. might be what's impressed me the most so far. This unbranded sound system bumps. That's pretty impressive. The highs are there, the power is there. I can't wait to try the Alpine someday. I'm sure when we get one of these back home, it'll be either a Limited or a Summit, so we'll be able to reevaluate. But man, don't be scared of the Laredo trim. That's an impressive sound system. Okay, good job, Jeep. On today's travels, we're ending out 34.2 mpg, so quite a bit under the combined rating, but we had a couple accelerations and also some elevation changes. So we're a little bit closer to our highway rating of 35 mpg. Also, as some of you may have noticed, you can actually toggle this back and forth from day mode to night mode with the physical dimmer switch over on the left-hand side. So I've got it in day mode right now, and that'll translate through to CarPlay as well. Anyway though, guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. I hope you've enjoyed these first driving impressions here on this new generation Jeep Cherokee. It's hard to say what generation this is because the Cherokee kind of came and went so many times. I don't know what the appropriate, I don't know what to really call this, so I'm just calling it the brand new Cherokee because that's impossible to be wrong that way. But anyway, that's that. We're gonna find somewhere to pull off. Rear wiper's stuck again on the back. There it goes. We're gonna find somewhere to pull off, and we'll give you one last look at this thing, and that'll be a wrap. Just realized I didn't play you the hybrid sounds. Kind of hard to hear. Okay. Anyway, into park here with the rotary shifter, which I like how it kind of locks into place there and doesn't just spin forever like a Ford. Parking brake is down by your left knee like most people are doing these days. And we're gonna leave this running because I gotta keep going anyway. So yeah. Overall, I mean, I would say it feels with the times. Let me know what you guys think about this brand new Jeep Cherokee, and we'll have one of these back at home eventually too, but that's gonna wrap it up for us today. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.